they told us that they would waive it, we jumped on it.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Alder Festa. Alder Ferraris and Head.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have used both. I've used Workday and ADP. Workday has a buddy Sapien where you tax your time when you log in, when you're off.
Mm-hmm.
And it also has an ability to, I'm sure you've seen it.
Yes, I've used it.
My manager uses it to track our productivity, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
So why, if people are using laptops, why couldn't the clock in time be generated through the time you log in?
Well, two things, right? When people are working remote, and I know this for a fact because I've had this issue in my department, the system right now that we have is not set up so that when you log in, it automatically calculates your time as logging in. We've also had employees, or some employees, that when they log in, they'll log in at 9 o'clock, and then there's no activity till 3 o'clock. So it's like, what are you doing on the computer? Even though you logged in at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, what are you doing all day?
So ADP doesn't have something like that they can put in?
Not that I'm aware of. I think there's like something that maybe IT could look into to see how many times they move their mouse or what screens they're on, but I don't think that they could do that.
Well, I know Workforce does do that. They have that built in. That was the reason why I asked, was that I didn't know if ADP had that ability to do that.
I could get back to you on that and find out.
Because I think it would be an added benefit to everyone. Because I know when I log in, that's my time that I'm logging in, and Buddy tells me, well, what a wonderful day you had today. I don't like it, but it's there. But other places where I've worked use the ADP, and basically you're logging in. We have to report our time weekly, even though I'm salaried employee. However, my manager has to approve it. So if they're writing their, however you decide to do it, clocking in, isn't there another supervisor that has to approve their time?
Yes, the supervisor still has to approve it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it takes the administrative burden of somebody else making an error on that person's time, and it's just that employee clocking in their own time.
Yeah. I know, I've done it, but I don't clock in.
Yeah, and you get an email, I'm sure, saying you have to clock your time.
Yeah.
So what did you think of ADP?
I liked ADP. I thought they were great. They offer a lot of benefits that Workday doesn't offer. But Workday is more integrated with Microsoft Word, and
Right.
so there's good and bad in both.
Yes. Thank you.
Is that it for now?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you very much. Before we continue, I'd like to recognize our colleagues, Alder Hamilton and Alder Morrison, who have joined us. We're on item 1, which is the request for a 5-year contract with ADP to do payroll operations for the city. Any further questions from colleagues? I'm going to ask a couple. One is, when would this start?
We're looking at April of 2026. That's the tentative go live date right now that they're telling us.
So a contract year for ADP would start when? I mean, if they go live in April, that means you're hiring them sooner. What's the term of the contract is what I'm asking for, because there's none in our material.
The 5-year?
Yeah.
Or the 1 year?
Well, when would the first year start? What's the date for is that to be negotiated, or do you have a target date for when you want the agreement to start?
So so what happened is that ADP promised that they would be able to get the W-2s for the city for this year up and running. So upon Corporation Council, we signed a 1-year agreement, just a 1 year to try to get the ball rolling, because it's going to take a while and a lot of effort to get this up and running. In the interim, back in October or maybe late September, they told us that it's too complicated, there's too much, and that they're not gonna make it for the W-2s for this year. So again, the city has to now run W-2s for this year, which we're prepping with Munis to have someone, a specialist on their side, help us so that we don't run into the same debacle that we ran into last year and had to do corrected W-2s. Trying to avoid that for this year. But because that deadline was missed, we are now in the second phase of it where we have to come to you, ask for the 5-year, but in the interim, we are working with ADP to try to go live. So I'm assuming that the go live date is when you sign this, when you sign the contract for the 5 years. Because right now we're only in a 1 year, and obviously you can't do anything in 1 year.
How much, so the city already signed a 1-year contract with ADP
Yes,
to do some portion of these payroll operations.
right.
How much was that for?
Right now, it was nothing. It was just to get the ball rolling.
I mean, but it was for
It
a
was-
certain amount of money.
It was, no, it's all included in this price.
It's included in this.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
the agreement was that if we agreed for 1 year, because obviously you can't get anything done in 1 year, and you're not gonna go to a different payroll system in year one year and then 1 month, that we would have this agreement in place, come to you, and then that would start the contract, the official
So
5-year
ADP has
contract.
already begun doing some work
Yes. Yes.
that they're not getting paid for just yet.
Right.
The reason I'm asking this is, just around the procurement rules, it's important to know what the dates are, and it's important to know what the amounts are. Because depending on the amount, you would even need approval for a 1-year contract, depending on what it is.
Right.
So I just want to make sure you're not
Yeah.
running afoul of our city ordinances around these things.
Yep, and I don't want to pay for an extra year for something, but they said that if we signed a 1 year under the pretense that we would come to you within that 1 year and get the 5-year signed, that the 1 year is also included in this price. So we haven't paid ADP anything yet. There's
Okay.
nothing up and running yet for
Okay.
us to pay.
No, it'd be the mayor who would sign it. Obviously, the mayor needs our approval to sign it. So we pass this conceivably, if it goes positively here, then it gets a first, this is an order. So it'd be voted on before the end of the year. The mayor could sign the contract before the end of the year. So you could look at a contract that's coterminous with our calendar year, but not our
Fiscal
year.
Correct.
All right, so it'd be a little bit off from our fiscal year. Okay. All right. And you've got money in the budget to pay for this?
Yes. we've
Because
already-
there's no transfer that you're asking for.
Right.
Okay. Now, it sounds like it's going to take some functions away from Munis, at least certainly ultimately, if not right away. What do we use Munis for other things, right? If we are using Munis for fewer functions, are we going to get a price reduction from Munis? Or are we going to keep paying full freight to them?
No, I actually fight with Munis all the time, and because of their performance, I think a lot of the issues that we have with the city is because of Munis. Every time we ask for additional help, they nickel and dime us. So to be completely transparent, we're actually looking at a new ERP system to get completely off of Munis and modernize the city completely.
So that's a transition you hope the city will make in the next couple of years. Is that a fair statement?
The year.
Within the year, okay. The reason I'm asking about this is because you made a case that this would help save the city money. But it seems to be in the short term, we're hiring a new vendor to do a service that we're already paying a different vendor for. And that different vendor we're going to keep paying. So in the short term, we're not saving money. We're spending more money because this is a new contract, and that other contract isn't being replaced, at least not yet. So you would, so that's, that sometimes happens, but I don't know that we're saving money right out of the gate because we're still paying units. This is not replacing the units.
Right, no, it's not. This is replacing the inaccuracies that Munis, I think, creates within our payroll system, and the liabilities of not being able to, one, pay our people properly, and then the grievances that we have to go back and then they want regular pay in addition to whatever their regular pay was supposed to be. And that has happened with DPW, that people weren't paid properly because the stuff that was going into Munis, the time wasn't calculating their time accurately.
Mhm.
And we had to go back, they filed a grievance, and then we had to pay them, and then they wanted additional pay on top of it.
So
So,
there's some cost avoidance that we might achieve,
yes,
but in the short term, we're not gonna save money because not at least until we get rid of the units.
exactly.
So we're
So,
paying two vendors to do
yes.
the work of one.
Right, but we will I will go back to Munis and see, since we will not be utilizing their payroll system, how we can get a reduction in cost, because we shouldn't be paying for that.
We would be glad to know if you're successful in that regard.
I will let you know.
Okay, well, thank you for answering those questions. Further questions for colleagues? Alder Hamilton.
Thank you, Chair. Ma'am, so if you're paying two vendors now, what's the contract that you have with Munis? How lengthy and costly is that? If you're taking away part of their current service to us, now, how does their contract read? Is it a 2-year contract, 3-year contract for all the services being provided? And are they gonna renegotiate the part that you're taking back from them in some kind of reduction to the city? Do you feel like that's
Yeah, yes, so Alder Marchand's point, it would make a lot of sense for us to go back and tell them that, because once we get this ADP system up and running, that we don't need a big segment of what they do.
Right.
So there should be a cost reduction, and I'll fight for that. As far as the contract, I don't know the length of the contract, but I
Right.
do know that the city pays about $650,000 to $700,000 a year for Munis.
Okay, so it sounds like.
And every time we ask them for help, they nickel and dime us, instead of it, even if we were to say, we need a support staff to come to the city and help train employees on this specific function of Munis. They'll actually charge us for the travel of that employee, they charge us for the time of that employee, and then they charge us for the training, for their employee to come to help us.
Okay. All right, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Chair Marshall.
Thank you, Alder Hamilton. Further questions from colleagues on this item? Alder Festus.
Thank you, Chair Marchand. Just along those lines that we were on, I mean, is ADP going to charge us as well, or is everything incorporated in this contract, or are we going to face the same problems that we're facing now with Muni, that we'll have to call someone and pay for their travel and expenses?
No, well, it's built into the contract that we have a service agreement with them. So it's built into that $400 and I believe it's $30,000 that they're gonna come out and do training, because there has to be training and stuff on this. So there'll be training and a service related fee, which is already in the system, which is already in the contract.
Is that over the 5 years?
Yes.
So, because they go up 4% each year for the 5 years, it includes maintenance, upgrades, training throughout the 5 years. So
Yes.
if an upgrade happens, it seems like upgrades happen all the time, every 6 months. If it needs an in-person specialist, they'll come in and train.
Yes. But usually on a payroll system, it just updates the software. You don't really need a retraining of the employees of how to do it.
And that will happen automatically. And it's included in the contract.
It is, yes.
But if we do need assistance for whatever reason, they will be available to us to come in person for that one time or whatever.
Yes.
And that we need them to.
Right, yes. And
Okay.
they have a lot of like YouTube videos or like 5-minute trainers or refreshers that they could also send out to employees. So that's at no cost.
Okay. And you said that you don't know the length of the contract with Munis.
Right. I don't know when our contract is up with Munis. I know we've had it since 1999.
Yeah.
And
Would you like to request that information to
I
the
could get
chair?
that for you.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I think it's important because if we're going to be dropping Munis, we need to know if we have what time is left on Munis and if there's any consequences of getting out
So
of that
noted.
contract.
So noted.
So I do want to note that Corporation Council does a wonderful job with all of the city contracts, that they do put a termination clause, an early termination clause embedded within all of our contracts. So as long as we give about 30 days notice, that's usually the time that they allot, we can terminate a contract. I've done it before for the police,
Okay, without penalty.
without penalty,
Okay.
yes.
And then you mentioned that there's the 1 year plus the 4 years. So we have this 1 year that they kind of already started
Mhm.
without us paying yet. Is that 1 year incorporated in the 5 year, or is that in addition to?
It's incorporated into the 5-year.
Just for clarification purposes. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Alder Festa. Alder Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Dr. Cynthia.
You're welcome.
I believe Alder Festa just hit on what I was getting ready to say. I just wanted clarification on what you were saying in regards to the 1 year that you had, made a contract with ADP. I always get ADP. And also that, was it a promise that if you were to, utilize that 1 year, that you promised them that they will get the contract for?
Yes.
That's how that works?
Yeah, it was like almost like a letter of intent. So as long as we got the 1 year, as long as we agreed within a 1 year time frame or for a 1 year period, that we would go back to the Board of Alders. This way they could start, because without us signing that 1 year, they wouldn't even start helping us. So the goal at that time, this was back in August, that they were going to get the W-2s up and running and be able to do the city's W-2s. That since they found it was too complicated, there was too much information that was needed, they couldn't get it in a timely manner. So then the city now is left running our W-2s again for this year. But we were trying to make sure, the goal was to make sure that the city was in good standing with the IRS.
So that didn't affect, thank you. So that didn't affect the promise that was made. They're still gonna, if we approve this.
Yes.
That they still will.
Yes.
If we didn't approve it, what happened to the 1 year?
If we didn't approve it, then the 1 year just expires, and then obviously this contract is null and void. The 5 years, so then we probably just stop working because it makes no sense.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Alder Smith. Further questions from colleagues on this item? Seeing none, we thank you for your presentation.
All right, thank you.
And I'm going to ask if there's a member of the public who wishes to testify on this item. And for a second time, is there a member of the public wishing to testify on this item? Third and last call. Anyone from the public wanting to testify? Seeing none, we'll move to item 2, which is the advanced purchase order for 5 fire apparatus. I see our chief administrative officer and 3 leaders from our fire department. Thank you all for coming.
Good evening, all.
And when you are settled, we would be grateful for your names and
I
addresses.
didn't want to testify on the last item, but I can tell you some fun facts.
Well, if you can tell me those facts after you give us your name and address.
John Alston, Fire Chief, 952 Grand Avenue.
Shakira Samuel, Assistant Fire Chief, 952 Grand Avenue.
Justin McCarthy, Chief Administrative Officer, 569 Orange.
Dan Coughlin, Assistant Chief Operations, 952 Grand Avenue.
Welcome. The floor is yours.
Thank you. ADP started in 1949 after the stock bust and all of the companies were coming back together and they were hiring a lot of people. They couldn't keep up with their payroll. They started a paper system to help people track their payroll. Moved on into 1961, a young senator, he wasn't a senator then, Frank Laudenberg from New Jersey, computerized them and took them international. Then later became a senator in the United States Senate.
We're grateful for that additional context.
Sorry.
Let's put that on the record, please.
I said ADP, I know that company.
That may have been pivotal. Now we'll go to the fire apparatus. Who's going to start?
I'll begin. So we come to you with an unfortunate situation. Fire apparatus has become a very challenging aspect of what we do in the Rolling Stock Committee. The Rolling Stock Committee, as you all know, was formed years ago to bring all of our vehicles, large purchases, even our big heavy-duty lawnmowers under one umbrella. Myself, Shannon McHugh, the budget director, the controller, sit and evaluate requests that come through from our fleet management teams, fire, police, and DPW. As we've seen, we've come to you multiple times. I know since I've been back with the city over the last 10 months. I've been to you a couple times about the status of fire apparatus purchasing. Fire apparatus are now taking upwards of 4 years to build, and that is a major concern for us. I'll let the chief speak specifically to the fire apparatus and our current fleet of fire apparatus in the city of New Haven. The biggest concern that we have, though, is the time that it takes to build these trucks and the amount that the price is increasing. So when I made lieutenant in 2015, 10 years ago, I got to ride a new fire truck. That new fire truck cost about in the sixes. We'll call it 650,000. That same fire truck is in excess of 1.2 million now. A ladder truck is pushing the $2.5 million mark, and a lot of that has to do with various things. Everything from workforce to the amount of fire trucks that were purchased with ARPA funds to, in some cases, tariffs to. The list goes on. EPA regulations on motors. It's extensive. What we're coming to this board to do is request the future allocation of capital dollars. So if we were to place an order in January of 2026 for fire apparatus, the vote would be 5 fire apparatus. We would not receive those until 2030, it's painful to say, 2030 or 2031. The goal is to put our order in so that we can get that ball rolling, so that we don't end up in a predicament with aged fire apparatus that the chief will speak about. The amount of money that will be requested is just over $8.5 million. And the way that we would do this, I would let the budget director speak on it if she would so desire, but to split this, if we could, between 2 capital cycles, depending on how that looks, because we're on 2-year capital cycles and these would take at least 4 years to arrive. That's a brief overview, and then I'll let the chief speak to the ages of the current fleet.
Sure. So in the past, we were able to, and even during my tenure, in 2017 and 2019, a large truck, a longer truck, would be like $1.2 million. The engines, as the CAO said, would be about $600,000. It would be $550,000 to $600,000. We were able to make deals because we would find out when New York, in Boston, other departments that were doing large orders, that were ordering the same style and same type we'd be able to either get in on the beginning of one of their orders, in the middle of one of their orders, or at the end. COVID scrambled all of that. In 2019, we bought 3 pumpers for just about $2 million. One pumper now is about $1.2 million. So if you look at your old budgets that we used to come to you with, you would see we would ask for 1.1 one year, 1.4 the next year, 1.4. We had a plan that over 5 years.
Can we interrupt you for a moment?
Sure.
Cell phone?
Is
it giving
Is that your
feedback?
cell phone?
Yeah, but it's not going off.
No,
It's on silent.
no, I've got, Christie's missing hers.
Oh, okay.
She can have this one anytime.
Oh, I'm sure.
I'll give it up.
That's why I
Yeah,
have
no.
that.
No.
All right, we'll keep fire as field.
That's me. Okay. Anyway,
Sorry.
9 people. All right. Anyway, welcome back. So what ended up happening, if you look at our budgets in the past, I had a 5-year fleet plan, so that we would bring down the average of our fleet. The NFPA talks about 10 to 15 years for a piece of apparatus, and then retiring it after 25. You know, from being in the city longer than I have, there are certain houses that drive their trucks all the time, and then sometimes you won't see them a lot of times. And so we would even manage it within ourselves to rotate within our fleet. Because of COVID, supply chain, loss of mechanics, tariffs, if you would say now currently, it takes so long to build these trucks. And then now there's a new emission standards for 2027 that's adding another $50,000 per apparatus and another 6 months to build. So what ends up happening, if we don't pre-plan now, we literally could get boxed out by an LA, New York, that places an order for 25 pieces of apparatus, and it's just a wash. Then we have to start looking at other vendors. And the reason why we utilize the vendors that we do, we want to protect our members and we want to protect our investment. Seagrave, which is the one that we're recommending through the Galveston consortium. I always call it the consortium. It's consortium buying, and it also sets a flat rate across the nation. So it doesn't matter who's buying the truck. We recommend Seagrave because it's an all-steel cab And because we've been buying Seagrave forever, our mechanics are trained on it, our stock is trained on it. We feel comfortable with it. It's not a training issue for our members. So it's not only getting the best product for our city, the best product for our firefighters for safety, but we can pre-plan now utilizing this type of consortium buying. We never thought we'd be in this type of situation. If you told me it would take 4 years to build a fire engine, I would laugh at you. It used to take about 14 months for an engine and about 18 to 24 months for a truck. The order we purchased, we put it in 20.
I was still an assistant.
You were still an assistant chief.
So roughly 2023.
2023. We checked with the manufacturer, and this one is already paid for. It's in production. We're still not going to see that until April of next year. And that's just one truck, and then the 2 engines. So if we don't do something like this now, we're going to find ourselves in a whole nother state. Not only having trucks that it's going to cost more to maintain, but we may have to take them out of service. And we can share, rather than tie up the night, we can share our data with you. It's color coded to show you the age of the fleet. You'll be able to see where they are. If we don't have enough, we can make sure that that's available to the chair, to the committee through the chair.
Thank you for that. We will definitely appreciate the electronic copy. In addition to paper copies,
We'll make sure that happens. Thank you, Chief. And did I miss anything, Chief, on operations?
Nope, you got it. Okay, so that's your presentation. We appreciate the information, and we also acknowledge the importance of the city's having a well-maintained and operational fleet. We do like saving it at your defined place. So we're now going to open to questions from colleagues. We'll start with Alderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Chief, for your presentation. 2 years ago, maybe more, we were at the National League of Cities. One of our biggest concerns was fire apparatus. It was a big concern because we were building bigger buildings where we know that your ladders don't go up to a certain extent. And they told us then it was going to take 4 years and the price was going to increase. And I think we told you that about that, get these fire apparatus in because they had to build them. They also stated that moving forward, that if you didn't get them in during that time, the price range was going to increase all over nationally. And I see that that's happening. I am grateful that you are coming before this committee to request these funds for these apparatus because it is much needed. I don't even have to look at this data. I've been here in this city basically all my life and working for the city for like 32 years. And I know when we were doing the rolling stock, how far down the line you guys were to receive any type of fire apparatus. And it just doesn't meet up to what our demands for the city is calling for. So I want to say thank you all for coming forward with this and being proactive and thinking ahead of time. Because if you wait any longer, you're probably not going to be able to get it, and the city is going to be in a dire situation. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
So no question at this time?
No questions.
Okay, I gave Alder Smith the little license to make a statement rather than ask a question, but I would ask colleagues please to ask questions if you want to ask questions. Alder Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You mentioned that you want to order them to kind of be ahead, but what kind of deposit is needed?
So that's part of the conversation that we're having with Seagrave right now. We just placed an order off of this capital. So not to confuse, the current capital has fire trucks in it. This is for future capital.
Yeah.
In that conversation, we are discussing that this would be completely cash on delivery so that there's the ability, if needed, to cancel an order. God forbid something happens between now and then, we would have that ability. So there would be no deposit. This would be strictly a cash on delivery purchase.
Okay, so okay. Is there a state consortium? Like we just heard that there's some state, what was it called?
The Houston, Galveston.
Like
You're
the
talking
state.
about consortium for 80, well, for the
Yeah.
payroll.
So is there one for fire engines that the state has that we use across the board for?
No, but in times of larger purchases, we're able to use contiguous states contracts. And that's something that we've done in the past. With apparatus, because it's such a large piece, and there are so many other departments across the United States, you stand a better chance of getting a better price at the national level as opposed to the state.
Okay.
Sadly, in the American Fire Service, City A wants their trucks this way, City B wants their trucks this way. You could be in one state and find 5 different manufacturers. So you have a better chance nationally of finding more people with the apparatus that you're looking for, the vendors. Because when you put these trucks together, the transmissions come from one place, the batteries come from another place, the hydraulics come from another place. It's amazing to see. We've been to the factory a couple of times. It's amazing to see, but it is an arduous task to build a fire truck, unfortunately.
So I can add to that too. With the Houston Galveston Area Council, it's similar to Sourcewell, which the city uses as well. That is a large scale cooperative purchasing agreement that we work with for, as the chief said, fire apparatus, but it also goes in the rolling stock world. It goes for our DPW vehicles. It goes for the lighting packages that we put in the police cars. It extends our opportunities beyond just fire apparatus.
And is there a true cost saving to using that, or it doesn't really matter?
These days with fire apparatus, there is some, but not a lot.
Okay.
We've seen the price increase in the last 6 years by 40%. I've never
Wow.
seen anything like that. The average has always been 8 to 10% per year. I've never seen it like this, ever. I've been doing this for 40 years.
Is that having to do with tariffs, the price of steel, the price
It's
of
everything. It's the materials available. It's even having the right mechanics available too, because during COVID, no one was buying trucks and they were moving out. So they went into what we would call the private sector, even the private sector, but they would call it the commercial industry. So even having the staff to put these things together, yeah, it's a lot.
So what happens to the current fleet? Can they be resuscitated in any way, or certain parts
They can be refurbished. They can be cannibalized. There are times that we will take, doors and windows and certain things, not critical failed equipment like a transmission or something like that. Of course, transmissions can be rebuilt, but after a certain amount of time, you have to take them out of service because now it becomes cost prohibitive to try and keep repairing it and the downtime that you have now. So.
Do we trade them in so they can be
Many of them go to
taken
auction.
apart? They go to auction
Because we really use our trucks here in the city of New Haven. We've got one, I think it's a Freightliner engine 16. We're evaluating it now and whether we can sell it to another department as a used vehicle or whether it has to go to auction. And 9 times out of 10 in auction, it goes to scrap.
What happens to that money?
That will go back to the general fund.
Doesn't come
general
back to
fund.
us.
That was it.
Yeah, it would be
But
great
that's
if
okay,
the rolling
because-
stock committee, but anyway, that's neither here nor there.
But the general fund helps because it goes
yes.
toward,
Yeah.
money is allocated.
So also, not to speak on top of the chief, but one of the things that they've brought to us, the fire department's brought to us, obviously I have a little bit of history there, so I do know this, but it's one of the unique vehicles that is governed by state statute for how long it can be on the road.
How about engines that have gotten into accidents if other cars have hit them? Do we collect insurance on that?
Yes, we do, but in the state of Connecticut and elsewhere in the country, a lot of folks do not have their own insurance. And so it's a process of attempting to recoup those costs.
Yeah.
And it's not like a private vehicle that we can wait to repair it while we chase somebody down for the money.
Yes.
The truck's gotta get back.
And then, here it says 2 standard engines, 1 advanced engine, 1 heavy rescue, 1 aerial truck that you're looking for. Can you just give a brief description of
Sure.
each?
And before you do, I'm going to just quickly interrupt to recognize our president, Alder Walker Myers, who has joined us.
Good evening.
Now, you.
All right, so engines are what you see almost every day. They're the smaller trucks that carry the hose, carry the water. An enhanced engine, though, is an engine that's beefed up. If larger compartments, heavier springs because it carries technical equipment. It's a backup to the rescue. If the rescue is tied up in a fire or something, then that technical hazmat ropes when we have to go over East Rock, over the edge to get someone. So it's still an engine company in that neighborhood, but it's beefed up. That we call it an enhanced engine because it has greater capacity to carry more equipment and sustain the brakes and springs that we have to replace on regular equipment. And then the rescue will be timing out. By the time this is built, it'll be past the 10 years.
The heavy rescue.
The heavy rescue's at Whitney.
At Whitney,
Chad.
that's already. it
Both of
seems
these
like
are
we
in your
just-
ward.
Yeah.
The,
Oh, yeah.
the advanced engine is engine 8. You're familiar with it.
Engine 8, absolutely. So
Okay,
give them
so
the-
that's what the heavy rescue though is already gonna be, holy cow, I feel like we just voted on
Yeah,
that.
by the time the new
Time
one is
flies when
built,
you're having
it'll
fun.
be out.
And the aerial truck?
The aerial truck is truck 1. That's our only bucket truck downtown. That's at Central.
No,
We've-
Fairhaven. This
We're putting it in
no,
threes.
Truck one's due in 26.
Mhm.
We just
Correct.
this will be
Truck
truck
two, this will
three.
Correct. So 20, I'm getting confused myself. Truck 1, which is at Central Station, is part of this order that's already in. That's the one we anticipate getting next year. The next truck we have to replace is truck 3 at Lombard Station.
But the ones that we're looking at for tonight are these, and the aerial
Correct.
truck. what
And the
is
three
it?
engines will go throughout the city, as the chief said before. I'll use engine 6 in New Hallville as an example.
Correct.
Engine 6 can't meet, it won't survive 10 years. It's just too busy. When you have an engine going out 450 times a month versus an engine on Woodward Avenue going out 170 times a month. Engine 6 essentially, instead of being a 10-year engine, becomes a 6-year engine,
Because-
and we have to shuffle the deck.
Yeah, we
Okay.
repurpose it within our fleet
Okay, so you
to a
shift
slower house.
We do.
things around
Yeah.
for longevity.
Correct.
Now, a colleague mentioned, all this development that's happening in the city. Now, the developments are supposed to have to help you all out with emergencies, right? With proper fire extinguishing, et cetera.
Sprinklers.
Is there anything else these developers are supposed to do to?
I think I'm gonna head you off the path because we're starting to go into a broader
sorry,
workshop
yes.
about fire
Mhm.
response and fire safety across the city. We need to just talk about the request, which is about purchasing these new vehicles.
Yeah, I didn't know if the fewer calls might, increase the longevity of these trucks if,
Well, if anything, the building's gonna decrease the longevity of the trucks.
okay,
More people, more calls.
okay, there you go. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Alder Festa. Next on the queue is Alder Punzo.
With the order you have in now, in this order you're gonna put in now, which I think is very proactive. In 2031, would you guys be in good shape? Would the city be in shape for X number of years to come?
We are hoping that with the current trend and tracking the types of runs that we're on now, we're hoping that that's going to do it. It would put us back on track with reducing the number of years that we have apparatus out on the street, allowing us to be able to manage it within ourselves to make sure that we reshuffle the deck, as it were. The Chief Coughlin's involved in that. We believe that's going to do it. We'll know in 4 years. Yeah. We'll know in
Thank you.
4 years.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But
Alder
this
Punzo.
chart that we're going to give you is really going to tell the tale for you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alder Punzo. Next on the queue is Alder Hamilton.
Thank you, Chair. Gentlemen, so you said you're gonna build this 8.5 over 2 capital cycles. Is that correct? No, so when you do that, how does it split up the money part? Some for
So I won't speak on behalf of the budget director and
Oh.
how they manage the funds of the city along with the process that comes before the board. However, given the fact that it's 4+ years and we would have 2 capital cycles within that, in theory, we would split this essentially 4.4-ish per capital cycle, would likely make the most sense in order to spread this out while not, hopefully, not negatively impacting the rolling stock too much with everything else, right? So we also have to consider, by then we'll need police cars again and DPW plow trucks, and we've just started a purchase order today for a street sweeper. So the rolling stock committee is ever evaluating what's going on all over the city, so.
All right, thank you. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Alder Hamilton. Further questions from colleagues on this item? Further questions from colleagues? Just a couple from me. I think I understood you to say that Seagrave is the manufacturer of the apparatus?
Yes.
Okay. And is Seagrave vehicles available through other purchasing purchasing consortiums, or is this like the exclusive way to get a hold of that kind of apparatus?
So for Seagrave, HGAC is their method.
Their preferred?
Yes, Sourcewell would be another one.
Exclusive distributor? Or
No,
preferred?
because you could do competitive RFP, right, is an option. You could do Sourcewell, which has a different grouping of fire apparatus underneath it. There's another that escapes my mind that has different fire apparatus under it. We happen to be linked with, we've signed up with HGAC, and they have Seagrave as one of their vendors.
And the manufacturers themselves, they form their own groups out of the availability of parts and the like, not being able to get transmissions and the like. So there's one that's the Rev Group that carries 5 name brand fire apparatus. But again, they're still running into the same problem of supply and demand and technicians.
How long have we been signed up with HGAC?
I would say just under 6 months, probably.
Mm-hmm. And so far, what have we learned in those 6 months that makes us feel like we should stick with them?
So the thing with HGAC that I've learned is how many other communities in Connecticut are currently participating and enjoy the benefits of HGAC. Mm-hmm. I also know that we've used Sourcewell, which is very similar. Mm-hmm. I know we've used it for rolling stock. We've used it for the upfit of vehicles. We've used it for a variety of other things out of the CAO's office beyond the fire department, where it is extremely helpful, especially when we need to make purchases quickly. So we know the benefits to this consortium buying. It's just HGAC is a newer consortium to the city. Sourcewell has been with us since I was at the fire department.
So HGAC, there must have been something about HGAC that caught our eye, that we decided to sign up for it 6 months ago. Was it these?
So it was, I'll tell you right now, it was me. I saw a lot of benefits with the types of vehicles that we use in the city, both at DPW and at the fire department, that are participating in HGAC.
Do we have a feel yet for pricing? Is it advantageous? Is it competitive? Is it pretty much the same wherever you go?
With the fire apparatus, it seems like it's pretty close. We haven't explored. So Mike Siciliano and I have been talking. It just so happens that our street sweeper vendor was on Sourcewell, not on HGAC, right? So we're constantly playing that which one game. Mm-hmm. We explored a bunch of street sweepers, and the one that DPW came back to us with as their favorite just happens to be on Sourcewell.
And several other fire departments I know of utilize Houston Galveston. It's been out a long time, mm-hmm. even prior to my coming to New Haven.
Gotcha. So we've used Sourcewell in the past. HGAC's been around a long time, has a good reputation with various departments. But 6 months ago, you decided, let's sign up with them.
Well, I requested through the controller's office for it to be evaluated. Okay. So it went through an evaluation process. Great. Her and her team went through all of it. She came back and said that she saw a benefit to the city by utilizing it. So then it went to Corporation Council for review. Corporation Council then reviewed it and approved it for the mayor's review. The mayor reviewed it as well. So it did go through. It was not just a spaghetti at the wall, if you will.
I assumed it wasn't, but I wanted to know more about it.
Yeah, so that did go through a review process internally with all the departments that would.
Can you give a summary? Because what I've heard is that it's not necessarily less expensive, but it's got a good reputation, and you use the word it would be beneficial to the city.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering, is it just like better response times, or more like confidence that you will actually get what they're promised to deliver? I'm like, what are the benefits?
Yeah, so the benefit, the biggest benefit would be cost. Mm-hmm. Outside of fire apparatus. So just so the board knows, fire apparatus has been in the news. They've recently had congressional hearings about the pricing and the timelines for fire apparatus. Mm-hmm. For the DPW, I will tell you it is much more competitive. Mm-hmm. Recently, we evaluated, not to get too far in the weeds on a different department, but the Rolling Stock Committee asked Director Siciliano and his team to review street sweepers. There was competing opinions about the best street sweepers. We've had a couple of different ones. There's a couple of new ones that are out on the market. Once we got to the sharpening of the pencil and Sourcewell got involved, the street sweeper that we were looking at was originally quoted at 375. We're in the process of doing a PO right now for 306. So that was a substantial saving. It also took the preferred street sweeper, that was almost 90 plus thousand over the number two, which was leading us to lean on the number two pick, to say, okay, we're only talking about roughly $14,000 and it's preferred amongst all the workers. Let's spend a little bit extra and give the people what they are comfortable with, A, because it's what they're using now, and B, it's the number one pick from the crews. So why wouldn't you want the crews to be in something that they're comfortable with and that they feel confident in? And that it was how we were able to do it.
Okay. So it had a lot of advantages in terms of the bigger picture.
Mhm.
In terms of fire apparatus, not necessarily
I
a
don't
cost break.
I don't think there's.
But there is no.
No.
Fire is its own thing. Okay. Okay, well, that helps me understand.
Just so you know, and I don't mean to speak, but just for clarity, each fire apparatus company, for the most part, builds to spec at this point. There's not a fire apparatus dealership, if you will, right? So when the chief and I were talking about fire apparatus before I was ever in a chief's position, we were able to buy what they call stock fire apparatus. That is not an option anymore. You are building to, you're purchasing, you're building, you're getting. They don't even bring blank fire trucks
That's not like going
to show us.
Ford dealership.
Yeah. Right. It's a very different market than it was 15 years ago.
Great. All right, well, I appreciate that additional information. Further questions from colleagues?
I do, sorry.
Alder Festa?
Thank you, Chair. Electric vehicles. I'm only asking because we also, as a board, have a goal of 2030 to try and cut our carbon and see where we're at with electric vehicles. I know it's more complicated with a fire truck, but what do you see out there regarding electric vehicles?
Los Angeles bought an electric fire engine. It ran for about 2 months. It stopped running for about 9 months. And their chief was a personal friend of mine. I asked him what was the problem. There was water leakage into the battery compartment.
That's not good.
The batteries have to sit in the center of the truck. So does the tank of water. Yeah.
Okay.
They're on the horizon, but I would shy away from it.
Yeah.
I'll say for the record, this is my personal opinion, not my professional opinion as the chief. But my personal opinion is that fire apparatus should be exempt, just like military vehicles, because the demand for the new emission standards are going to delay purchases. They're going to increase cost and increase maintenance down the line through the life of the vehicle.
No, I appreciate that, and it's good to have it on the record so people are aware of the challenges that exist with some specialty vehicles.
Oh yeah, they can research it online. LA electric fire engine.
Great, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Alder Festa. Any further questions from colleagues? Seeing none, we will thank you for coming before us, and you may be dismissed.
I'm staying.
You're going to stay.
Time.
Is there a member of the public who wishes to testify on this item? For a second time, is there a member of the public wishing to testify on this item? Last call, anyone wishing to testify on this request for an advanced purchase order for 5 fire apparatus? Seeing none, we'll proceed to the next item. Item 3, which is a reclassification of a position in the animal rescue shelter. And it is a kennel worker, so if our assistant chief wants to come, she'd be most welcome.
Justin McCarthy, 569 Orange Street.
Monique Gartana, Assistant Chief, 22 Gold Street.
Welcome. We're all ears.
So the police department, along with the CAO's office, is coming to you to request a position change from building attendant 2 to kennel worker in the police department. This is a budget neutral request. The concept here is that the New Haven Animal Shelter currently has the need for kennel workers. Kennel workers are a similar job to a building attendant. However, a building attendant cannot deal with the animals directly. A kennel worker can. Due to, and I'll let the chief go into more detail on this, however, between the needs of our animals, which are obviously increasing for a variety of reasons, the safety of the people who are working around the animals, and the backfilling of time off, paid time off, vacation, sick, and workers' compensation requires us to come before this board to request this title change.
Thank you, CAO. Good evening, everyone. As the CAO mentioned, the need for kennel workers is definitely there as long as we understand that kennel workers are bringing enrichment to these four-legged people that we have at the shelter. So these kennel workers are not only cleaning the kennels, they're also providing enrichment by taking them out. And we cannot just have a dog or a cat being taken out once a day or twice a day. This is a constant thing. We have to constantly provide them love and attention. So what we're noticing in the last few months is that the animals are not getting the enrichment that they need. And what that does is causes kennel stress. And kennel stress is not good for the animal, neither is it good for the employee that's working there, because that's putting them at a higher risk for getting attacked or bitten by an animal. With that being said, the CAO and I have engaged in several conversations about bringing more resources to the shelter. So this is our first step to bringing a resource, which right now, as the CEO mentioned, is budget neutral, but there will be some other justifications in the future that we will be coming back for to ask for additional resources at our animal shelter.
Thank you. I think before I turn it over to my colleagues, I think it would just be, I know you've already touched on it, but it would just be helpful to lay out in more detail the differences between the current classification and the kennel worker. Like, what's the duties out there?
Mm-hmm.
Building maintenance person, right?
Yeah, building attendant to who?
How do they compare?
So, to the best of my knowledge, off the top of my head, without it in front of me, because I knew you were going to ask that, and I forgot to pull it up. But a building attendant can do various building maintenance tasks, if you will, generalized building tasks. They're not going to get into doing high-level electrical work, but they are going to do things like trash maintenance, ceiling tiles, things of that nature. Again, general maintenance. A kennel worker is going to be able to do general maintenance, meaning trash, mop floors, keep the overall sanitary conditions of the animal shelter to the highest level, which is what we need, but is also going to be able to have direct contact with the animals. And that's why this is a budget neutral. If you look, it's actually a dollar for dollar budget neutral range one position through the local 424 contract. So if you give me a moment, I can pull up both job descriptions. But that's the 50,000 foot view.
So dealing with the pet waste, the animal waste, is something that building attendant could do. It's not something that you mentioned contact with the animal, like caring for them, taking them out, but they also have waste that needs to be dealt with.
They have to deal with the waste and cleaning up the waste.
The kennel
worker.
The building attendant cannot.
No.
Okay. And of course, walking in, kennel worker can, building attendant can't.
Yes, that's correct. They also help us with fundraising adoptable animals by taking pictures of them and also introducing families to meet with the animals that are adoptable. So
is there anything a building attendant can do that a kennel worker cannot?
I guess general maintenance, like fixing a light bulb, would be something that a building attendant is able to do. We only have one right now. And really, there's just need for one who's assigned to our garage, the police garage.
Okay. So they're not, okay. So the kennel worker is more focused on the animals. The building attendant is more focused on the facility.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that clarification. Anything else you want to tell us before I let my colleagues loose to ask their questions? Okay.
Thank you very much. Any questions from colleagues on this item? Alder Hamilton.
Thank you. Good evening, Assistant Chief. Good evening. So the person you've already identified, your maintenance worker, now he's willing to move over to this position, or is it how?
So I should have been more clear. We have two budgeted building attendant positions. One is full, one is filled, and the other one is vacant. That person retired last year.
Okay.
So would not, and that work has been taken on by a contract under the O&L contract. So no one is being switched over. This position would be posted, tested, and we would hire from the test.
Okay, that's what I'm asking.
Yes.
Thanks. Okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Allen.
Thank you, Alder Hamilton. Next is Alder Festa.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I know Chief McDonough and I have actually communicated about this because there's a constituent who serves on the board and is also a vet and is very concerned about some of the things that you mentioned, such as taking the dogs out so they avoid the kennel stress, which, if you have volunteers, could actually injure the volunteer. So I know how crucial this position is for the shelter, but how many more would be necessary to really have the animal shelter function the way it's supposed to?
So I would like to say that not only kennel workers, at least 2 more ACOs as well. So we would like 2 more animal control officers. These are officers deputized by the police department. They're not police officers. They're animal control officers, and they would be responsible for going out on the field, taking calls, and doing also some proactive work. And the kennel workers, we'd like with this an additional 1. So 2 kennel workers and 2 ACOs.
How many ACOs do we have now?
We currently have 3 ACOs. 1 is out on workers' comp.
So we would need really 5?
To make it run the way it should, yes.
Plus an additional kennel worker with this. How about volunteers?
We have the Friends of the Animal Shelter. They come. They also have daytime jobs, so it's really hard to get them there during the day. The Humane Commission also stops in, volunteers their time, but unless someone is designated and dedicated to be there 9 to 5, it's really hard to fill those positions.
Okay. How many animals do we have currently?
So we have an average of about 30 animals. Yes.
Wow. Mostly dogs, or is it a mixture?
Mostly dogs, mainly dogs.
Do we have cats too?
Not many cats, very low maintenance, the cats,
Okay.
if we have them, but really just the dogs that we have.
I've sensed we could go down the road of a general workshop, but please bring it back to the request.
Yes. Well, it all, in my eyes, because of this constituent that called, does work with this, because it sounds like, the maintenance, the building attendant to kennel worker is more important. And it's good for us to have an idea of how it works, at least for me, a better idea with the animal shelter. But anyway, maintenance, who's going to manage that if we switch this position over to kennel assistant?
So right now, the O&L, they have a contract with the city with the new locations that the building attendant was doing. So we still have 1 building attendant who attends to 710 Sherman Parkway and the garage. And then O&L is attending to the Fournier Street location, which is the animal shelter. So we have those duties covered.
Okay, so we don't need to worry about building maintenance?
No, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Alder Festa. Further questions from colleagues? Further questions from colleagues on the proposed reclassification? Seeing none, thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alders. Have a good night.
And we look forward to seeing you again in budget season,
Yes.
justifying the additional staff.
Many nights.
Anyone from the public wishing to testify on this item? Anyone from the public wishing to testify on this reclassification? And for a third time, last call on this item, seeing none, let's move to the next reclassification. which is in the IT department. And it looks like you're waiting for our budget director to come join you.
I will be joining our budget director.
Okay.
Just, we're covering, for Michael's on. Justin McCarthy, CAO, Class 69 Orange Street.
Thank you, Budget Director, 395 Burnham Road.
Okay.
Okay, well, this request was for IT, and Michael Simeone, our Chief Technology Officer, is not in today, so Justin and I are going to cover it. But it's basically, it actually saves the city a little bit of money, and it is to take the position of Supervisor of Applications Public Safety. And so that position is now vacant, and it's reclassifying that position to the Supervisor of Applications General IT. So the one for public safety was very specific, and it was for, to manage public safety related systems and applications, and the general IT would be responsible for overseeing all other city applications to ensure continuity and performance across departments. So it would be much more broad. It actually would save a little bit of money because the supervisor position is about $134,000 per year, and the supervisor of applications public safety is $135,000. That's the position they want to eliminate, and instead have the supervisor of applications general IT, which pays about $110,000 a year. So there'd be some savings associated with that. And really, this is just, Michael Simeone is really trying to get a lot done. We have to pay, a lot of it is for programming. So the person who will be hired in this new position will be able to do some programming for VOCHI in particular, which would allow us, we could do some of our own coding here in the city and not have to pay VOCHI for every time we need a change. Did you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, mildly. It's just the fact that we currently have an application supervisor. This would allow a second application supervisor, so there would be a level of redundancy for training, whereas we have two individualized positions. This, Michael had shared with me that he wanted to bring this into essentially a dual split role, so that if one person is out, there is a level of redundancy in the position.
Right, we'll get better continuity. And it saves the city money, so I had no objection. If, we can do more work, kind of generalize the role, have that redundancy, be able to have that continuity, then it made sense to me that would be something that would be advantageous.
The other position, just because I assume this might come up, is that recently the person who held the position with the title that we are looking to change from has retired. So this presents the opportunity to do that prior to that position being filled.
Right, so we're not eliminating any position that is occupied.
Okay. Anything else you want to talk before?
That's generally it.
Questions. Thank you so much. The queue is open for colleagues who have questions. The queue is open. Any questions on this item?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple of questions. Do we need the position that we're eliminating? I mean, it sounds like we don't.
I think the idea is it would be better deployment to with the new position. So no.
When that position was created, the original public safety position was designed around specific hardware and software as it related to primarily, if I remember correctly, mostly our PSAP center. And then it evolved from there to include the in-vehicle MDTs, and that position just continuously grew and grew. And we've seen a major change away from specific programs and hardware to more of an applications-based software. A lot of our stuff's moved to clouds. This would bring a lot more focus to that cloud-based software. Even our CAD system that we're working through right now, the Pro Phoenix project, that's going to be ultimately, there is some components that are here, but that's moving more to an applications-based software that will apply to all of our public safety. This position would focus on some of that, along with other There's public safety focused applications, but then there's citywide focused applications as well that all of us have access to.
Okay. And is this a union position? And they're okay with the change?
I'll tell you right now, these are both 3144. One would be a 3144 range 11, and we would be moving it to a 311 range 10 position.
Okay.
3144. Sorry,
Yes.
my brain's spinning.
I understood. Okay. I lost train of thought, but that's okay. I think I'm good. So, tested. Is it a tested position as well?
I believe it is.
Believe it is, yeah.
Okay.
Within the IT department.
Okay. So that takes time as well. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Alder Festa. Further questions from colleagues on this proposed reclassification of a position in the IT department? Any questions from colleagues? Seeing none, we thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
My time in the chair is come to an end.
For now.
No.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone from the public wishing to testify in this item? Anyone from the public wishing to testify in this reclassification? And for a third time, if you wish to testify, please let us know. Seeing none, we'll move to our final item, which is the monthly budgetary and financial reports for the month of September. You have some paper for us.
I do.
We'll take a moment to do that. Oh, there are some pages.
Yeah, I have staples. Sure. It's out of staples and. I didn't have a fuss.
Thank you. And probably a couple copies.
Sure. Okay, this is the September report, which is essentially the end of the quarter. So we could call it Q1. We did talk, well, I'll go through this first. So for September, again, it's early on and so it's hard to get a real trend as to what's going on. But I can tell you where we think there's some pressures and where we think there might be some positive variances. I'll start with the positive. Property taxes are coming in pretty strong, and we're collecting more delinquent taxes than we were last year. So that's a positive note. And then we also have the $3 million. I've put in the $3 million that we put to assigned fund balance here at the as a bottom line number, so that we keep track of the fact that it is state aid that is coming to us, even though it will go to the general fund balance. So I did put that in there so that it's captured. So those are the positives. The negatives, so far it's early, but there was a little bit of a shortfall in the payments in lieu of taxes, which we talked about last meeting, which was New Haven, the parking authority. So that's down a little bit, but then other funds are making up for some of it. Some of the other pilot payments are coming in a little bit higher. So that's down about $163,000. Miscellaneous revenue right now is coming in a little bit lower at about $275,000. That one comes in waves, so it's hard to really get a trend. There's not a lot of cyclicality to it in some ways. And then state grants and pilots are coming in a little bit higher on top of that $3 million. It just came in a little bit over budget. So the items that we're watching, the debt service, we do think that'll be a little bit over budget because of the GANs. We are working very hard to get that, all those audits done with the state. I know Shirley, in the legislative, on the legislative side, she's doing a lot of work to make sure we're working with the department's DAS. I forget what it stands for. But they're the ones, they're working together with the state. We recently just hired PFM, they're our financial advisor for when we issue bonds. So they're doing some of the work to make sure that we can get the state everything that they need so that we can start getting the money that, we think we deserve from the state so that we can pay those gals down and bring those interest rates down. So, everyone has a day job and we were working very hard and you just need the labor. So we have PFM doing some of that. And then the other, there's a little bit of expected overage in the finance department, and mostly that's for IT because of the demand for services. And so we do think there'll be a little bit of an overage. I know the controller talked about some software ADP that's built into this number if we were to move forward with it. A certain number, not a 5-year contract, but obviously we built in some projection there as to what the IT budget might look like. And a lot of it is just a demand. Everyone knows the technology's out there, the departments want it, and they've been requesting things. But we're at a point now where like, no more this year. That's it. We have to make up for that. But I'd like to point out, we still have the labor reserve. I know the Board of Education salary negotiations ongoing, and that we'll hear some news on that soon, so we can build that into our projection as well. So there's some things to watch out for, but we do have, like I said, the $1.7 million in contract reserve, and we do have the expenditure reserve of $1.4 million, which provides us a little bit of cushion, and then the $3 million in the assigned fund balance. So there is some cushion built into this budget this year, but we have to track very closely, and I like to call, I keep saying the word, I didn't know what other word to use, but putting a lot more discipline in our spending because we are going to have to go on an ARPA diet. So kind of coming up with better tracking tools, more communication, so that we can have more clarity and more transparency. And I did do a quarterly report that I presented to the coordinators, and I'm wondering, with narrative, where I really wrote up what was going on and what I thought, some of the trends were. And my thought was, I know I'm required to do a monthly report, but my thought was to also do a quarterly report with narratives. I shared it with the mayor, but there was no requirement to publish it or anything like that. But I think it's a good practice to really go a little bit deeper on those every quarter so that you can adjust spending patterns or maybe put some controls around spending. And that's all I have.
Would we be able to see that quarterly report?
Yes. That's
I
what
request that to the chair.
Okay.
Myself.
Sure.
And this committee would be glad to see that.
Yeah, we do a lot of work behind the scenes, like with projections. We do the salary projections, OT projections. We have a lot of documentation, but it's like this internal document, and there's like, well, why aren't we sharing more of it so that we can better, make adjustments while we still can, that sort of thing. Because, if you're in the fourth quarter and you realize you're going to have a deficit, there's not a lot you can do. But right now, there's still things we can do.
Now is the time to do something. Yeah. Okay. Anything else you want to tell us?
No, that's essentially it. Oh, we're tracking healthcare, the medical fund, because that was a pressure last year. So far, the claims are coming in a lot lower than they were last year at this time. But it's it's the beginning of the year. We'll have to keep our eyes on it.
Thank you.
Sure.
I appreciate the presentation. We'll now open it up to questions from colleagues about the monthly financial report for September 2025. Alder Festa?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I know when you were here, I think it was just a couple weeks ago, right? We had spoken about the transfers and mitigating maybe some of the deficits. Has any thought been considered to, you said the quarterly report will probably help, but any thought in mitigating some of these possible deficits that could come our way? Like, it looks like with GANs, we have the PFM that will help, hopefully.
Right. Yes.
What other works or what are plans are in the works?
That at this point, in terms of savings, what's working with public safety on overtime, there's not, they always say there's not a tremendous amount they can do the way the contracts are written, but it's still something I believe that there's ways to influence that number, perhaps by paying careful attention to staffing. I'm not over in the police department. I can't say for sure, But I know the contract has a lot to do, with the staffing levels. But they are, speaking to Becky Barbero, working really hard to fill all those positions. So, the thought is that as we have more police officers coming on, we'd have less overtime because there'd be more people to cover. So, but I do know there's quite a bit of effort going on with fire and police to get those positions filled. And we're seeing a little bit less attrition. Now, we've budgeted some salary savings based on our projections. We're probably going to hit those salary savings numbers. But we're seeing, hiring's picking up, the economy. Obviously, there's some shifts in the economy, which makes it the city of New Haven more attractive. So, we're staying a breath on top of that and just trying to rein in, spending. Because sometimes, like when someone spends their budget line, and they want to spend more, they have to ask us for an override, and being a lot more critical of when we override and why we override. There's some things we have to do, like legal services for corporate counsel and things like that. And then there's things you're like, well, no, do you really have to do that? There's those discretionary things. So just asking a lot more questions and just holding people accountable.
Okay. Has the shutdown affected us at all? I mean, I think they voted today, didn't they? Shut down over?
I didn't check the news. I was doing.
Yeah, it might be over.
I hope so.
But anyway.
But we were preparing if SNAP didn't, if we weren't able, we were looking for funds that if there was the need for food,
right,
we would find the funds. That's feeding your citizens is probably a very high priority. And we thought, we were looking at attrition and how much savings we would have to cover such things.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Alder Festa. Further questions from colleagues about the monthly financial report of September? Further questions from colleagues? Seeing none, we thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a member of the public who wishes to testify on this or any of the items being heard this evening? And for a second time, is there a member of the public who wishes to testify on this or any of the items that we have heard this evening? And for a third and final time, excuse me, our coughing is contagious. Third and final time, anyone wishing to testify on these items? Seeing none, Alder Nicole.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that we close the public portion of this meeting.
Second.
Motion's been made to close the public portion, seconded. Any discussion of the motion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. The motion carries, the public portion is closed. Alder Nicole.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move item 1 favorably.
Second.
Item 1 has been moved and seconded. Discussion of this item. Alder Nicole.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think this is a step forward in the right direction to get us into this century of automation of computers and making things very easy to get online for our employees and to keep us from getting in penalties with the IRS. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Alder Nicole. Further discussion. Alder Morrison.
Is it on?
They don't.
They don't.
Oh,
work,
okay.
But they look nice.
They look really good. So I too am in agreement with this matter. As an alder that's constantly working with various vendors related to the city, and then needing support, and then them saying no because the city is slow with paying their bills. To see that the system is trying to move into the 21st century, to be timely, to do all these various things that's going to protect the city. I am in support of this.
Thank you, Alder Morrison. Further discussion of this item. Alder Festa.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple of things. First of all, it was mentioned that the current system is antiquated, so it'd be good to have upgrades that make sense and also increase productivity. But just one thing, there's no amounts in the actual
The resolution.
The resolution.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we need to add them or not, but that's actually all of them. All the resolutions don't contain any amounts, so we should probably, as a board, determine if that's necessary or not, just FYI. Thank you.
Thank you, Alder Festa. Good point, which we will take under consideration, and we may decide to change that for the second reading. Any further discussion on this item?
I'm in support of the item.
Alder Hamilton, did you wish to speak?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chair Marshall. I'll support the item this evening so that to move it forward and also, the processing of our bills should be more timely. And, if this is gonna make that happen, I will definitely support the item. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Alder Hamilton, for their discussion. Seeing none, I'll just say for myself that one of the follow-up items that I will make sure we do is about the Munis contract and what steps the city will be able to take to thin that down or get rid of it altogether. There's follow-up to do there. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of, but I'll just say before I go, that I am in favor of the item, even though there's not immediate savings. From my point of view, it's an investment in the modernization of our systems, which I think over the long haul will both improve efficiency and service and reduce errors and produce greater value going forward. So I'm in favor. Seeing no further discussion, all in favor of this going forward with a favorable recommendation, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. The ayes carry. It will move forward favorably. Alder DeCola.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move item 2 favorably.
Second.
Item 2 has been moved and seconded. Discussion. Alder DeCola.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think this is a move in the right direction, getting ahead of the curve for our apparatus. And the presentation really showed where we need to move forward in the next 2 budget cycles, funding cycles. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Alder DeCola. Further discussion. Alder Panza.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm in favor of this item. I think it's very proactive and it'll put us in good shape in the year 2031 and hopefully for years to come. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Alder Panza. I see Alder Hamilton, then Alder Fessel.
Thank you, Chair. I'm also in support of the item. I think it's a good step forward in purchasing this apparatus and even the timeline, cost and timeline being what they are. Ordering now with expectation for 2031 delivery. It's a good proactive move, and I'm in favor of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Alder Hamilton. Alder Fessel.
Thank you, Chair Marchand. I'm in favor of this. I also, I appreciate they being proactive and looking to the future years of the longevity of our current trucks versus what is to come. So it's good to be proactive and be ahead of the game, which is what we need in the city overall, so we know where our spending needs to take place. I also appreciate Chief Alston explaining the electric vehicles, because I know that is important to a lot of our residents and a lot of committees and movements, climate movements that are here in New Haven. And we as a board also strive to try to make a difference in our state and in our country, especially reaching the goal of 2030. So it's good to know where we stand regarding the more complicated vehicles, and that it's going to take some time for those vehicles to be at the level that they are now without electrification, if that made any sense. So I do appreciate the department and they being proactive, so I'm in support of this item. Thank you.
Thank you, Alder Festa. Any further discussion of the sign? Seeing none, all in favor of a favorable recommendation, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. It will move forward favorably. Alder DeCola.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move item 3 favorably.
Second.
Item 3 has been moved and seconded. Discussion of this item. Alder DeCola.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think this is a good move, seeing that they outsourced some of the maintenance work, that moving this to be a kennel worker to take care of the dogs and the animals and giving them a better life while they're in custody. So I think this is a good move.
Thank you, Alder DeCola. Further discussion. Alder Hamilton.
Thank you, Chair. I'm also in favor of the item. Reclassifying the position to allow for a kennel worker that's going to help to walk the dogs as well as handle their maintenance needs. It's a positive move, and I'm in support of the item. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Alder Hamilton. Further discussion. Alder Festa.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I too am in favor of this item. We heard that the kennel workers position is very important, and it sounds like they could use more assistance in that department. Unfortunately, people either abandon animals or sometimes they're just out on the loose, and we need to take care of them, especially to avoid what Chief was saying regarding the, not kennel cough, but the kennel anxiety, stress. That's real, because if we have volunteers that go in and help out and these dogs are stressed, it could affect the volunteer. And why would we want to do that to the animals that are not normally stressed? And all it takes is for they to be outside for a little bit, to run around. I mean, imagine us being closed in, and not being able to move around, just being stuck in a cage. So it's important for us to think where we need to be as a city as a whole, particularly with budget cycle coming up, and how we're going to maintain that shelter long-term as well. So I appreciate all the explanations that were given to us this evening on how it all works, because it's good for us to know as well what happens at the shelter. So this move is a good move, especially since it sounds like the maintenance will be handled appropriately. Thank you.
Thank you, Alder Festa. Further comments, further discussion on this item? I'll just say that I too am in favor of this reclassification, and as a bit of follow-up, I will request the actual job description.
Thank you.
Seems like beautiful to have. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of a favorable recommendation, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. It will move forward favorably. Alder DeCola.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move item 4 favorable.
Second.
Item 4 has been moved and seconded. Discussion, Alder DeCola.
I think this is another good move of this reclassification, and there's a cost savings to the city on it, and it's a move in the right direction. Nobody's losing a job. It was a retired position, so this is just moving it around. So I'm in favor of this.
Thank you, Alder DeCola. Further discussion, Alder Hamilton.
Thank you, Chair. I am also in favor of the item. Yes, I know. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Alder Hamilton. Further discussion on this item, Alder Festa.
Mr. Chair, I'm in favor of the item, but again, the resolution does not have the salary amounts. I don't know, again, what this committee feels is necessary within the resolution. Just wanted to point that out, as well as the previous one.
So noted. Thank you, Alder Festa. Further discussion of this item. I will say that I'm in favor of this reclassification. I will take under consideration Alder Festa's helpful pointing out that the dollar amounts are not in the resolution. And I will also get the job descriptions for this position, reclassification as well. Further discussion. Seeing none, all in favor of the favorable recommendation, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. It will move forward favorably. Alder DeCola.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move this to read and file.
Second.
This item has been moved as a read and file and seconded. Any discussion of this motion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. It will move forward favorably. And before a motion to adjourn is appropriate, let me just say to colleagues that our regular finance meeting for the month of December would normally take place the second Monday of December. And we may or may not have that meeting depending on whether or not anything comes in that's really important that needs action. But we will have in December, likely on the 18th, 11th rather, likely on the 11th, right? Alder Hunzo? A joint meeting of Finance and the Education Committee to do a workshop at the request of a number of our colleagues asking for a workshop on the budget of the Board of Education and asking for more transparency in regards to that very important topic. Right now, we're looking at the 11th of December, which I think is a Thursday. So it's possible we could have 2 finance meetings that week. We're going to do our best to try to avoid that. But definitely put the 11th in your calendars. It's going to be a very important meeting. Having said that, all the
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
motion to adjourn has been made and seconded. Any discussion of the motion to adjourn? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. The motion carries. We are adjourned.